I'm Lelia Lewis, and welcome to another edition of Building a Better You. Now, today we're going to be reading from the book of Isaiah, and we're going to go through chapter 40 and part of 41 and part of 42, and we're also going to go into the book of Psalms and kind of make a connection. And this is under the heading of the comfort of God's people, because I think this told the people back then how they could believe and trust in God and be comforted in knowing Him. Be comforted in knowing He's protecting them, He's guiding them, knowing that He's with them all the time. And as we read some of this, we're going to discuss it because a lot of the things He was even saying back then still holds true for us today. So we're going to start in Isaiah chapter 40, but we're only going to read a few verses, and I'm going to start in verse 28 because this has a lot to do with our story. Now, the very first things in verse 28 says, and it's like God talking to us today. He's like, don't you people understand? Verse 27, it says, why hasn't thou known, hasn't thou heard, that the everlasting God, the Lord, the creator of the ends of the earth, he fainteth not, neither is he weary. There is no searching of his understanding. He giveth power to the faint, and to them that have no might he increases their strength. Even the youth shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint. Now we're going to stop right there because that said so many things in those few verses. First of all, have you heard or do you know? Is this something new to you? It's like God's trying to understand, why don't you already know this? But He's here to tell you. So if you don't know, pay attention, learn, and you will understand. He says, why haven't you known? Why haven't you heard? Don't you know that the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth, He doesn't faint. He doesn't get weary. He's God. You don't have to search to understand Him. Some people you might have to search to understand, but it's all here in His Word. He can see all, He can do all, He is all. He doesn't faint nor get weary. He's the one that gives us the power. He gives it to those that have no might. He gives them strength. He gives power to the faint. So if you're not feeling like you can do this, I can't go any further, trust in the Lord is all He's saying. I'll give you the strength you need. Me, I can vouch for that because I need strength a whole lot of times. And all you have to do is be sincere when you ask God, when you make your request. He knows your heart. He knows if you really want to follow and do what's right. He'll help you. He'll guide you. And believe me, He will give you the strength. And He says, even the young, they'll faint and be weary, and they'll fall. But verse 31 is very important. It says, they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. So He's telling you, give Him time, let Him do it, He'll handle it, He'll take whatever steps necessary to give you the strength you need. He's going to give you so much strength, it says, that you'll mount up with wings like eagles. Do you know how high eagles can fly? They can soar above airplanes. Could you imagine having that kind of strength to rise up that high? He'll give you the strength so when you run, you won't be weary. And when you walk, you won't faint because he'll give you the strength to keep going forward. And what is strength? Strength is the ability to endure. So all you need is to trust in him, follow him, and get the strength to endure, no matter what your situation is, because there's nothing too big for God. Now let's go on to chapter 41, and I'm going to jump over to verse 10, because that's kind of a continuation of what he just said there. Because verse 10 says, "Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee. Yea, I will help thee. I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness." And then verse 11 says, "And behold, all they that were incensed against thee shall be ashamed and confounded. They shall be nothing, and they that strive with thee shall perish." Now that's a whole lot to take in just those couple of verses. So let's go back to verse 10. Well, we know fear not means don't be afraid, trust in him. He's telling you, I am with you, no matter what your circumstance. I can handle it. Just trust me. Don't be dismayed. That means don't be discouraged. You ever notice when you're doing something really good, how it seems like something always happens to kind of mess it up? And what a lot of people say, oh, that's just the devil. Well, be that as it may. The point is, if you feel that way, now you need to trust in God. Because he says, I am thy God, and I will strengthen you. Don't fear anything that comes your way, because I will help thee. I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness. And righteousness is free from sin. Nobody can free you from guilt or sin except our Lord. And in verse 11 it says, all those that were incensed against thee. And to be incensed means to be angry. Sometimes you have people that are angry with you about whatever. The way you're looking at something, or you're not seeing it their way. And people get very angry for many reasons. And then they say, those that are angry against thee shall be ashamed and confounded. And confounded means confused, perplexed. Because a lot of times people are angry and they don't really know why. It says they shall become nothing. Because they don't even know why they're angry. Maybe they were mad at you for something that happened a long time ago. And if you ask them, well, why are you still angry about that now? They can't even tell you why. Because there shouldn't be that type of anger. But God's letting you know they'll become ashamed and confused. And they'll become nothing. And those that strive with thee shall perish. And in this particular context, to strive means to quarrel or fight. So that's still pretty much the same thing. It says they shall perish. That means in the end they'll die anyway. Maybe not literally before our eyes, but inwardly. Because it's wrong. They're arguing, they're quarreling, they're fighting about stuff that doesn't even matter. Stuff that doesn't even matter. Why are they holding that against you? They don't even know. They're perplexed. They don't understand that themselves. And a lot of people are angry for a lot of reasons. Maybe because of it's jealousy. Maybe because they're not getting what they think they deserve. Maybe they think somebody else has something that they should have gotten. But no matter what it is, God's letting you know He's going to take care of them in due time, and they will not survive. They shall perish. Now let's skip over to verse 13, because that says, "For I, the Lord thy God, will hold thy right hand and say unto thee," here we go again, same words, "Fear not, I will help thee." Fear not, I will help thee. So what he's saying is, I am your God. I am your Lord. I will hold thy right hand. He's putting his hand out to invitation to you. Put your hand in his hand. Follow him and fear not. And he will help you. He will protect you. And he will take care of you. Now let's go to verse 15. This is a continuation. He's saying again, not only will I take care of you and protect you, I, verse 15, will make thee a new sharp threshing instrument having teeth. Thou shalt thresh the mountains and beat them small and make the hills of chaff. Thou shalt fan them, and wind shall carry them away, and the whirlwind shall scatter them. And thou shalt then rejoice in the Lord, and shall glory in the Holy One. When the poor and needy seek water, and there is none, and their tongue faileth for thirst, I, the Lord, will hear them. I, the God of Israel, will not forsake them. Now let's back up. Let's go back and see verse 15. When he says, I'll make you a new and sharp threshing instrument, a threshing instrument is something that they used back for the wheat and the corn and separated it from the seed. And that was having those sharp claw-like teeth. And it would separate them. And he's going to separate you from those that are against you. And it will just blow away in the wind. And it will scatter, just like sawdust scatters in the wind. And then thou shalt rejoice in the Lord, and shalt glory in the Holy One. And it says, when the poor and needy seek water, he says, I, the Lord, will hear them. That means anytime you're in need, if you pray from your heart, he's going to hear you. He'll give you what you need. I, the Lord, will heal them. I, the Lord of Israel, I will not forsake them. And what does forsake mean? Turn away. I will not turn away from them. Now let's go back down to verse 20. And he's saying, and I will do all this so that they may see, know, and consider and understand together that the hand of the Lord hath done this, and the Holy One of Israel hath created it. So he's saying, I'm letting you know that all these wonderful things you see them, you know them, and now you understand them. And you know that this is the hand of the Lord. Because nobody else can give any of these things. Nobody else can protect us. Nobody else can keep us from harm. Nobody else can deliver us from sin. Only the Heavenly Father. Now let's go to chapter 42. And we're going to start that in verse 6. And we're going to read a couple of verses, verse 6 through 8. And it's a continuation again, but this is under the heading of the mission of God's servants. Now we're supposed to be God's servants. We are God's servants. So this is what is our mission? What was your calling? Did God tell you to do something and you're hesitating about it? Are you thinking about it? But this is God's response to what we are supposed to be doing as his servants. And this is our mission. So let's go to verse 6. Because I, the Lord, have called thee. He's telling you, I've called thee in righteousness. In righteousness. And I will hold thine hand. I will keep thee. I will give thee for the covenant of the people, for a light of the Gentiles, to open the blind eyes, to bring out the prisoners from the prison, and them that sit in darkness out of the prison house. Now let's just stop right there for a minute because there's something I want to say about that. Now he's already telling you, he's calling you in righteousness. And we just said he's the only one that can free us from guilt, from sin. So he's the only one that can call us. But he's also saying, I will hold your hand. Again, he's offering his hand to you. And I will keep you. Keep you means to protect you, to guard you, not let any harm come to you, making us lights of the world. That's our mission, to learn from him, to follow him, and then move it on to others. To open the blind eyes and bring the prisoners from prison. They don't mean literally open the eyes that we see. It's your spiritual eyes he's speaking of. The eyes that show you his way, his understanding. And bring the prisoners out of prison. Well, that doesn't mean the prison with the bars. It means the prison of your inward self. It means your inward prison. What are you a prisoner of? Hatred? Jealousy? Envy? Popularity? What holds you that you shouldn't be trying to hold on to? Because all of those things are only temporary. And what he's giving us is something permanent. And he says he'll take you out of darkness into light. Verse 8, he's telling you, I am the Lord. That is my name. And my glory will not I give to another, neither my praise to graven images. Graven images. How many times do we hear that? He says, that's his name, he's the Lord, and he will not give his glory to another, nor praise to any graven image. And that brings me over to Psalm 97, because this still relates to the exact same thing, and it goes to Psalm 97, verse 7, and that says, confounded, confused. Remember we said confounded means confused. It says, confounded be all they that serve graven images, that boast themselves of idols. Didn't he just say that? He's the only God, and he will not give up his praise. And it's saying right here that anybody is confused by serving idols and worshiping gods other than him. They are confused. They are confused. And verse 8, verse 8 says, we read verse 8 out of there. So now we know that we are to follow God's way. Now, let's go down to verse 9 and 10. Because it says, for the Lord art high above all the earth. Thou art exalted far above all gods. Above all gods. And that means the ones that they worship, the images. They're made of wood, they're made of gold, they're made of silver, bronze, all types of things, but they're artificial. Doesn't matter what they're made of. They can't do a thing for you. Artificial gods can't do anything. That's why we always say don't put too much worship, I'll use that word loosely, in people. Don't idolize people. That's a fake God, so to speak. Oh, this person's so wonderful. And how many people pay hundreds of dollars to go to games to see this player and that player and MVPs and all that? It's okay to be a valuable player, but that's not the one you worship. You should be worshiping the one who gave him the power to be the MVP. Because in my eyes, there's only one MVP, and that's the Heavenly Father. He's far above all gods and all the earth. And that means everything and everybody that we see, because he created it all. And verse 10 says, Yea, ye that love the Lord and hate evil. Because if you're a lover of God, you can't like evil. The souls of his saints he shall preserve. He delivereth them out of the hands of the wicked. Delivereth them out of the hands of the wicked. So that's just telling you, stick with God, you're on the right track. You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. And let's go back to Isaiah 42. I just wanted to make that connection there. Isaiah 42 says, Sing unto the Lord a new song, and sing his praises to the end of the earth. And verse 12 says, Let them give glory unto the Lord, and declare his praise in all the land. The Lord shall go forth as a mighty man. He shall stir up jealousy like a man of war. He shall cry, yea, he shall roar, and he shall prevail against his enemies. And that's simply telling you, the Lord will go forth. He'll always prevail. No matter what, no matter how it looks, no matter how long it takes, it's in his hands at all times. He's always in control, no matter how it looks to us. He knows what he's doing. We may not know what he's doing, but he knows what he's doing. And look at verse 14. It says, this is God again saying, I have long time hold my peace. I have been still and refrained myself, but now I will cry like a travailing woman. I will destroy and devour at once. That means time's up. I've given you as many chances as you need. The wicked have had as many chances. They're not trying to do his will. They're still determined to do it their way. So he says, now I'm going to destroy and devour at once. And that's what he does. So let's read verse 16. And he's saying, and I will bring the blind by a way that they knew not. I will lead them in paths that they have not known, and I will make darkness light before them, and the crooked things straight. These things will I do unto them, and not forsake them. That means as long as you're following God, as long as you're seeing him, following his word, he will take you out of any darkness that you're in, any dark place. Pray, speak with him. He will bring you out. And he's also saying in verse 17, they shall be turned back and greatly ashamed, them that trust in graven images. So he's letting you know again, just like he said previously in the other verses, there is no God above him. And those that trust in the graven images and say that they're gods, they shall be turned back and greatly ashamed. Turn back and greatly ashamed. Put your hand in God's hand. Let Him lead you where you need to go. Don't trust in other people. People can't give you what God can give you. He is above all. He is all. He sees all. And He knows all. All you have to do is put your hand in His hand and let Him lead the way. And now I'd like to share my poem. It's called My Lord. And I wrote this last year, 2022, and I woke up with this in mind. And as I read it, you'll understand how it came to me that very morning. And it's entitled, My Lord. Good morning, Lord. How are you today? Looking down from your throne so far away. I know that you're comfortable, and that's just fine with me. So I'm going to get up now and be the best that I can be. Oh, I don't mean just for today. I mean forevermore. Just to wake up and smile at you is more than I could ask for. That in itself is a blessing, 'cause you didn't have to wake me at all. And that's why it's important to me to answer my master's call. Answer the master's call. Wasn't that the title of part of our story today? The mission of God's servants. We're His servants. He's issued a call. What's the first thing you do or think of each morning? Do you even think to thank Him for letting you even see this day? Or are you too busy, thinking about what you have to do that day? It's all about priorities. It's all about the things we should be thankful for, like our health, our children, our family, the strength that He gives us to get through all of our situations. These, these are the things that only God can give. We can't look to others for anything that's important. Even little things that are on our minds, we can still discuss them with God. He'll still give us an answer. God's always interested in what we think and what we feel. He always wants to help us. All we have to do is accept His help. It's not difficult. Even if you're not used to it, just think about it. Read these verses over to yourself. Think about waking up in the morning and saying, Good morning, Lord, how are you? Thank you for another day. That's the first thing we need to be thankful for, is the fact that we're even seeing another day. So my question to you today is, how tough are you? How much strength do you have? How much ability do you really have to take care of anything that comes your way today or tomorrow or the next day? You don't. You don't have the strength because you don't even know what to do. Half the time we mess up trying to figure out what to do today. But yet we're always worrying about tomorrow. And that's the whole point. You don't have the strength to handle anything. That's why we have to trust in God and leave it all up to Him. Follow His word, do His assignment, do what He's asked you to do or summoned you to do. Go on that mission. What's He say? Fear not, I will help you. He will guide us and He will lead us. Don't do anything without asking God. And my closing words for today are, if you can't find peace in what you're doing, then it isn't from God. Until next week, I'm Lelia Lewis. Thanks for joining me.
You've been listening to Building a Better You with Minister Lewis right here on To God Be the Glory radio broadcast. Big shout out to Miss Denise Marshall and Miss Tyler on today.